Welcome to the Fit for Halter podcast. We're here to bring practical content and community to the amateur halter exhibitor. I'm your host, Amy Zabel, and I interview people from across the halter horse industry. We'll learn new techniques, hear about the hottest products, and get to know one another. If you grow in your knowledge and we gain more exhibitors in the ring, this has been a success. It's a laid-back environment. Prepare to be inspired and maybe take some notes. Welcome to the Fit for Halter podcast. I am super excited to introduce to you some of my new friends. I am currently sitting in my horse trailer at a horse show, so Fit for Halter is currently on the road. So I'm excited to introduce to you Beth and Dennis Stewart. I'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves as well, and then we're going to talk about some amateur experiences, some amateur tricks and tips, and I think we're going to learn a lot from Beth and Dennis. So welcome to the Stewarts.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, everybody.
Do you want to
We're
tell
glad
us?
to get this opportunity.
Absolutely. We have a little bit of a delay, so listeners, bear with us as we navigate the gap in our internet connection. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Well, we've been married 50 years. We have 3 children, April, Christy, and Nick. All 3 showed horses in 4-H. We're 10-year members. And then we went on to start showing Palomino World Show. And the kids have all shown some quarter horse. And then our new goal has been to go to the buckskin world and show for the last few years. So we've really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you. So why don't you tell us, how did you get started in the halter horses?
Well, after our kids got done showing, all 3 of them competed in 4-H and the Palomino there, the youth. They all we were empty nesters. We always kind of had a halter horse for them to show too, but they thought we'd give up the horses. Well, they were wrong. We didn't. We just got more deeper into it. But we got into halter horses. We bought a mare off of through Bill and Ann Lanning, a yearling Palomino mare
At Edgewood Landing Farms in Texas.
And
we went there on our 25th wedding anniversary. That was our gift to each other. Was this Palomino filly. And she started our
halter career.
Our halter career.
Well, it was our son's. It was his last year in 4-H, and he won the county fair. At that time, you had to win the county fair or a regional show to be able to go to the state fair. So he won with that yearling filly. He went to the state fair, and he won. He was grand champion mare for that yearling filly. And that got us started in the halter.
Then we started showing our quarter horse.
Yeah.
And we put 127.5 quarter points on her. Superior and open and amateur. We did all our own fitting and conditioning, and we halter ourselves. We didn't use a trainer. It was just all hands on ourselves.
Wow, that's impressive.
2 amateurs.
That's amazing.
So from there, when he retired from his factory job, our present to him was to go breed to Kids Classic Style, and we bred that mare. And with that breeding, we thought we were going to get either a Palomino or a buckskin, because the mare was Palomino and Kids Classic Style was buckskin. And when he was born, we got the shock of our lives. He came out sorrel.
Sorrel.
Surprise!
And when he came out sorrel,
yes,
yes, we wanted to put him back in, but he was so pretty and exotic. And so from there, we just took it that we were still blessed. And that colt we showed as a yearling at the Congress, and he did okay. He was in the middle of the pack. So we set him for a year, let him grow, came back his 3-year-old year. and went to the Congress, and we have to stay in our own lane because our finances are limited. So we stayed in a tent stall, and my daughter banded his mane, and I went in and showed amateur, and I won the Congress.
Wow.
And so
that was probably one of all we showed horses. That was the day you could knock me over with a feather. I was not expecting that. But number one halter horse in the nation was in that class, and we beat him 3 out of the 4 judges.
And so then we went back in for Grand and Reserve, and I got Reserve Congress champion in amateur over all halter horses that were shown. And had my picture taken with the Chronicle.
Uh-huh.
And it was just amazing.
Very special day.
Very, very, very special.
One of those days, you ask yourself, well, is this really worth it or not? All the hard work we put into it? Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
So
Most
from that,
definitely.
then we showed Brandy Jacobs and Ted Turner were waiting on me as I came out of the class and asking us if they could show him. And so we at that point made the decision we weren't able to pay somebody a lot to show him, and Randy offered to do us a favor. And so Randy showed him, and we tied for first, but lost to the tiebreaker judge. So we were reserved in the open. And it was just a lot of fun. We were amazed. And so after we left that class, well, we had a gentleman that was there doing ring stewarding that was on the board for AQHA. And he he told Christine Hamilton that she should interview us for what we had done, because we were amateurs that had done it all on our own. And so we just thought, okay, yeah, that's fine. And about a week later, well, wasn't it a week later or so, Christine, she called us and interviewed us. And it was a lot of fun. We got featured in the Quarter Horse Journal, March 2012 issue. And it was about the old blue trailer. It was about a stock trailer that we owned at that time. And I actually had hauled Stewie to the vet in that stock trailer to get his Coggins and health certificates for the Congress. And the vet that we hauled to, he came in the trailer and looked at him and inspected him. And he thought, yeah, sure, we're just giving him a Coggins and health certificate. And he inspected him, did his job, but he never had any inkling what was to happen. And so we got our Coggins and everything, hauled him home out of the stock trailer. But the story of that is my kids would make me park out back when we went to Palomino shows, quarter shows, because they were ashamed of the trailer we pulled in. And I've always told them, it's not what you pull in, it's what you pull out of the trailer that counts. And I taught all 3 of them that. And from that, they learned to always have good horses.
Yeah.
Good horses are what we like. And so that article was written about the blue trailer. It was about the old blue trailer. It was fun. It was a fun article.
What a great story. What a great story. Yeah, that's a long history of not only success, but what a great opportunity your kids have had to grow up with your example.
When we were teenagers, we first met, we both had horses, and we lived about 8 miles apart. We meet halfway on horseback. We used to date on horseback. We didn't have a driver's license.
We were on 15.
That's great. What a great story. Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us. We appreciate it. It's a great inspiration for people who are considering showing and hearing that you can do it on your own, even out of an old blue stock trailer?
Sure can.
Yes, you sure can. Yep.
Well, we're going to take a look at your program. Since you've had a lot of success, continued success, we want to take a look at your program and see how we can help other folks like us who are amateurs out here doing it ourselves. So just want to look kind of from a broad perspective and then maybe get a little bit more detailed. So let's start out with, what is your daily routine and why?
Well, usually I feed of a morning everybody, and we just let them chill out till afternoon when Dennis gets home from his day job, and then he starts in.
Yeah, like I get home, I'll go out. I like to turn my babies. We have an indoor arena, and I like to turn the babies out there for 15, 20 minutes just to breathe themselves, let them play. But I don't turn them out together separately. I don't like running babies together because I've heard too many bad stories of what can happen.
We don't let them. We let them just play.
Let them play. Then I like hand walking my babies. I walk them up and down the road. I walk them everywhere. So I think they need that personal contact. I'll stop and set them up, and we'll go walk and let them eat grass, and just doing that time, spending that time with them. But I'm not big on lunging babies. I think you just need to walk them. And now I will sweat a neck once in a while, but this year I haven't really had to. I'm real happy with what I got. But they need to get their exercise, a little bit of free time, but they also need that time with some human, because you're the one's going to show it, just to walk along with it and do things with it. So it gets familiar with you. That's kind of my routine for how I do my babies.
Yeah, the colt that we prepared for the buckskin world, we hauled him to the Palomino world and just let him get socialized so that he would be ready for the buckskin world.
See, I would have lost 7 days. We were gone 7 days. I would have lost that 7 days. And literally, we got back. We literally left 2 days later to go to the buckskin world. So it's important to keep that. It's routine with these babies. You got to be repetition every day. You just have to do something with them. They can get ornery.
For sure. Well, it's really helpful to hear your perspective and what you do and don't do. I know everybody has kind of a different approach, so it's nice to hear just a different perspective. So when we look at what you guys are feeding and maybe even supplements, what have you learned from feeding horses over the year, and have you made any mistakes?
Well, I usually do the feeding program. And so we kind of split that to where he does the lunging and the neck sweating and stuff, and I do the feed. And I've learned a lot in my time. I keep everything on an oat base. We still feed oats. A lot of people don't feed them, but when my babies go off their feed, they'll go back to oats. It's been interesting. We had a baby go off her feed right before the Palomino World Show, and we were giving her a supplement. She necessarily didn't like it. It didn't agree with her stomach. So we had to take her off that supplement, and we had 4 different kinds of feed in her stall in different buckets, just what she would go to.
Because you almost panic. Here we are 2 weeks for the World Show, and she's off her feed.
Yeah.
So, that's detrimental to a baby. And so we had 4 different types of feed, and Beth went everywhere that day buying several other brands. What's she going to eat?
Yeah. So we let her pick.
Let her pick out what she likes.
That has proved to be probably our best way to fit these babies, is let them pick what they want to eat. And if they're not feeling good, yourself, somebody might like chicken noodle soup if they're not feeling good, and somebody else might say, well, I'm really thinking I want potato soup, and horses are the same way. They can't communicate that to us. So we let them pick kind of what horse feed they want to eat. And once they start in on it and go to it, they will just deselect, if that's a word, what they
Yeah.
don't want to eat, and they'll go to it. It's like a kid with candy. So
Yeah.
that's how we look at it.
Usually as the horse progresses, it gets older, he'll eat about anything. But babies are so unpredictable. You got to get them to eat. Especially for a fitting one, they got to eat. Both babies are on the same feed now.
They both went to the same feed. It was interesting. Yes. So, and we have our own mix that we keep the mares and foals on. It's an oat-based mix, and I have it made at our mill, and we feed her that, and we found the babies to come out very good. Legs are good. Everything's been good on them when they come out, and so why change a good thing? Mm-hmm. We just keep doing what we're doing.
And cost-wise, we go to the elevator, the mill. It's a little bit cheaper to do the oats and stuff and have them mixed than it is while the pre-bag feeds.
We can usually get 100 pound to 50 pound bought in a store somewhere. This is for people on a budget. For people that aren't on a budget, do your own thing. We have a saying, stay in your own lane, and whichever lane you are able to stay in, whatever is affordable for you, that's how you make it work. And we've always had that saying, and we call our horses our smoking and drinking habit. We both just spend that money towards the horses. So we've always, and our kids knew, we've had the kids have won a lot of things, and we've been very blessed showing, but not always did we have the ability to compete with the neighbor down the road or whoever in another state. But we have always been able to compete because we stayed in our own lane and we did our own program and our own thing. And that's what makes it work for you. If you know what you're doing, you can make that work.
There's so much good wisdom in what you're sharing about your feeding program, but also just as an encouragement to people who are considering being a part of the industry or who are discouraged by the expense of it. So thank you for sharing all of that. So you talked a little bit about the specific feed. What about supplements? How do you feel about a supplement? Are there any that you like? Have you experimented with any?
We've had a lot. We've had a lot of experiments with supplements. We totally believe that all supplements can be good. Not all supplements are good. We really believe if you keep, we like the little Himalayan blocks that they lick on. For an example, for their salt intake and mineral, and something like that kept in front of them is a good thing.
It'll help them, drink water, keep them hydrated.
Yeah, keeps them from chewing on things. There's the sky's the limit on all kinds of supplements that are out there right now. There's so much variety, it's unreal. And no one's wrong for using a certain supplement or another. It's whatever you prefer and however you fit your animal. But we found that you can overload a horse on supplements. And the end result is they'll sit back and say, I'm not eating, or I've got an ulcer, or they'll be showing you signs that they've been fed too much other than just regular horse feed. And
we'll tell a story about mineral.
Here's a story that I don't want to mention products, but we fed a lot of mineral at one time, and we were putting it in their feed. And one thing you can get from mineral is intraliths.
Too much mineral.
it's too much mineral, and it forms, I don't know if you know or are familiar with intraliths.
Mm-hmm.
They form like a pool ball in their intestine and colon. And some have to have surgery, some pass them, some die from it. And that set me back. It was kind of like, I just learned from that too much is not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit is good,
but at the time they were pushing, added to the feed, these minerals.
Yeah.
And well, minerals should be good for them, but this is one of our show mares. We've done well with her. We sold her to another family, and we found out, well, a year or two later, that's what she had.
And it's not to say that every horse would do that.
Right.
Like I said, everybody's individual. It just depends on how your animal is dealing with what you're handling and what you're feeding them. So be careful what you put in your foal or your horse that you're showing, because it just, you can't beat the good old feeding program versus putting a lot of things in them. Their bodies don't always handle it. So
it's really helpful.
That's more or less what we can tell you.
Sure. Yeah. It's great. I think just hearing again the variety of what people do, and the fact that experimentation does occur, and you can learn from it.
We've done a lot of that.
Right. That is right. So transitioning a little bit to workouts and fitting. So you did mention that you don't necessarily lunge your babies, but they go out to play and they do a lot of hand walking.
Yeah, I'll kind of,
yeah.
That I won't lunge. I watch when they're in the arena. I walk the whole time, see how much they are working. So if one don't feel good, not saying if I have lunged them, if they don't get out there and do that exercise it should do. So I will, both my babies can lunge, and I will lunge. I'm not saying I don't ever, but I do. It depends how much they exercise themselves that day. It's kind of how I do that.
Yeah.
But they got to get out and move, and move the muscles, and work up an appetite so they'll eat when they get back in the stall. But it's important to keep that baby eating.
That makes a lot of sense. Just paying attention to, it's a good reminder to pay attention to the baby, see how much they're playing outside. So then when you are, whether it's a baby or yearling, 2-year-old, whatever the age is, what are some of the tools or techniques that you like to use to help prepare your baby or your horse to head to a show?
Well, like the babies, I hand walk them when they're babies. Now, like the yearlings this next year, I like to use the lunge lines. I like to have that contact with the horse with the lunge line. I got a round pin and everything. Sometimes I'm lazy. I'll just stand there and have them run around. But I like to have that contact with that lunge line with them, to get them to stop, have them listen to, what whoa is, and have them turn around, things on the lunge line. We kind of keep that hands-on control with them. So let's let them run around a round pin. Because we know them, you got to get them to stand, and be quiet for the judge. So all that goes into spending time with them, and lunging them by hand with the lunge line.
I usually set them up in the aisleways of our barn quite a bit, and just let them stand loose off of the lead, so that they're comfortable standing there. And just even if you did it 5 minutes a day every day, it does help to prepare the horse for being in the halter class.
In the show barn, like my 3-year-old, when I lunge her, she sweats. I sweat her in the aisle on cross ties. Then I'll tie both babies up around her. So they'll walk right underneath the lunge line out there, raining back and forth. I like that contact where that baby sees another horse. Where you go to a show, never seen another horse, things can happen. I like to get them familiar with different things, but I'll tie all 3 horses there. They're all being in the aisle in the barn for a good amount of time. So so to me, it's helped with what I do with them. Get them familiar with other horses.
Uh-huh. It's good. Very helpful. Do you notice any difference in working with colts versus fillies, and as they age a little bit, the geldings, mares, or stallions?
Well, there's a big difference. Usually when they're babies, there's not that much of a difference. But when that colt becomes a yearling, there can be a difference. And as they get older, it can be a big difference. They can be ornery. Or fillies and geldings are all pretty, well, geldings are probably the most even for anything to show. Or mares, you got, one comes in heat or something, it can be a different ballgame. Geldings are pretty, across the board, you kind of, you know what you're going to expect out of them. But you get a mare, might be in heat or something, that could be a whole different, especially show day. It could be a different, it can be a handful.
And being a breeding farm that we are, we don't keep geldings very often. We had a gelding that we put like 6 or 7 world champions on Palomino, and our grandson showed him, and our daughter, and Dennis, and we have had a good time with him. And then we sent him on to another program. But we more or less just keep colts and mares in our program, and then sell them if they are going to be geldings. That's kind of been my barn rule. I like my mares. I love showing the mares, and I love showing the stallions. I've shown the Kid Forever and Style, our stallion that won the Congress. I put 50 some Halter points on him, AQHA, and he had his superior and open and amateur, and he was just fun to show. And you just get in sync with them, and they can fill you down the lead, I call it. They just know what you're thinking. They know what you're to expect. They know what you want out of them. And it's it gets fun when it's that way. But
even today, the stallion, we call him Stewie. He's the old man. He's 16 years old. You can go out there now and put a halter. He's got a halter on and take him out, and he'll stand up automatically for you. Anybody can show him.
Yeah, baby could show him.
He's almost like showing a gelding. He's just that quiet.
He's fun.
That's great. He clearly is not burned out on halter when he sets right up for you. That's awesome.
Oh, no.
No. But one regret we have is we didn't take him back to the Palomino world and the non-collar, because he's eligible for
Palomino bred.
Yeah, Palomino bred and buckskin bred. And I wish we would have done that. That's a regret we should have done. We didn't.
We could have made him a world champion in both of those. But we just didn't. We just chose to show other horses. And we raised a son of his, Extra Style. And Extra Style had 3 foals last year. 2 were shown this year. Only 1 shown last year. The 1 shown last year, our grandson raised, and her name is Extra Flirty. And we're extremely proud of her because she won the Michigan Stallion Auction Futurity in the Stallion and the Mare class and the Open. And then she went on to show at the Congress, and I think she was reserve limited. And wow. She's a world champion weanling and yearling this year.
Open and amateur.
So that we're really proud of the horse that Clay has made her into be. And she just, she's known, her nickname's Barbie, and his wife named her Barbie, and she fits it. Clay wore a pink tie when he showed. So it's just a little theme we had going, and
that's wonderful
to make things fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We spend a lot of time with them. We might as well enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yes. He recently went with a trainer to Kentucky and showed her in quarter class, and she won her 2 and under in the yearlings. So she has quarter points on her as well now. So it's just been fun. We love it. We do focus on collar breeds. that's been our favorite thing to do because the people are so nice. We can go to those shows and they're just like family. We have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah. Agreed. So beyond the time that you spend actually fitting, whether it's hand walking or lunging or round pen work, how much time do you spend working with each horse, and what does that usually include?
Okay, the babies I probably spend the most time with because you just have to. I go out there and get them. Sometimes before I go to bed, I go out and just get them out at their stall and just stand them up in the aisle, just get them to be quiet. And then I like to rub all over them, all over their legs, pick their legs up, and just touch them all over so they get used to that. And then I like to have people, if I have a second person there, walk around. Because a lot of times in showing a class, especially a baby, a lot of them not seen a judge walk, let alone 3 or 4 or 5 of them walk. They don't know what to expect, and they'll move on you or something. So I like to acclimate to things like that. But
and we're there when they're born.
Yeah.
We have cameras, and so we're there when they're born, and so we imprint them. And I usually break them to lead, and we break them to tie early. And we're learning. We used to wait on that, and it's so much easier if you start it when they're early. The earlier you start, the easier it is for them to adapt. Because they get more independent if you let them go.
But now the old,
you
like
say
my
early,
3-year-old mare.
Sorry.
We're talking that day, the second day, every day from the rest of
them. Yeah, just rub them all over, picking their feet. Feet up's the big thing to do with babies.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have their feet picked up the rest of their life, for trimming and things like that. But that's a big thing, picking up their feet. And then tying them to the wall and get them to be patient and be used to, not be afraid to be tied to the wall.
And your hands all over them.
Hands all over them.
That's just that's their way or our way to make them feel secure. They don't get antsy when you start putting your hands all over them.
It's good.
Patience is a big thing, in these Halter horses. Patience. Repetition.
It's good. So shifting a little bit to showing, how do you handle unexpected situations or last minute adjustments at shows, such as if you were to have a lameness situation or a colic or even an injury?
Well, it depends how severe it is. Some things, lameness and things, as far as if they're drug testing there that day or something, there's some things you can use and you can't. But if you got one that's lame, you just can't show.
We just pull them.
You just pull them.
Yeah. We look at it for the good of the horse. It's not now. Once you get out in the class, if something happens, we had a mare get there this year and she had a heart attack in the class. Don't know why she did it. We don't have her on anything, but she just wouldn't. She started not waltzing is what we call it. Standing in the class, she wouldn't stand still. And we don't know what upset her, but something did. And so we just had to stick it out till we got out of there. And she won the world last year, and she was dead last this year because she didn't stand. And sometimes you just deal with that. It's part of showing horses.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, but it's part of what we do. But as far as one colics or anything at a show, it's just important to fix it. Try to get
fix it right away.
Fix it right away. Banamine or whatever you can use. But we've all been down that road. Everybody's gonna have a horse on a colic, just knowing what to do, and hope it don't get too severe. You just can't fix it yourself.
Yeah.
But we've had,
we've helped other people that had colic or been somewhere one time we were at a sale and some people had a horse there colic, and you just help people. That's what you do.
Yeah, we carry stuff with us. Bet you have to.
You carry
your
Banamine
Banamine with you, and take care of yourself in case something would happen. But you just never know.
Just try to have you an emergency kit.
Yeah.
For those things.
It's good. Thank you for that perspective. How do you provide consistency and comfort for your horses when you travel?
They always have hay bags in front of them. We have our trailer has manger in it where we can feed them grain on the go. But hay is the most important thing.
Give them something to munch on. But I'm a big believer in putting hay bags in your trailer to give the horses something to do.
And they stand on mats. We have mats and shavings. And
keep them comfortable as you can. Especially, main thing is hauling in summer when it's hot. That always worries me when I'm hauling horses. So I try to keep comfortable as I can.
We bought a trailer back in 2004. In fact, we're still pulling it. It's an Elite. And we had the ceiling insulated in it. And believe you me, that has been the answer to keeping the horse comfortable in all types of weather.
And we had the stalls are a little bit wider than normal stalls. I think they're 4 inches wide. It gives a little bit more room in there for air to get to them and stuff. And drop down doors on the sides and on the back to kind of keep that airflow going. Because years ago we would go out to Tulsa at the World Show quite a bit, pounding on. It gets hot out there, and that was it's a big worry, just trying to keep them comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of people putting bags of ice in the shavings underneath the horse?
Yes.
Yes.
Does it work?
Yes, it works.
Yep.
Yes, we actually take the bag and we would bust it and put it in the shavings. When we go to Tunica, when Palomino World Show was down in Tunica, it was so hot, and we tried that, and it did help. Keeps them cool. It really does help. We found it to work. Yes.
I've read about it. Yep. Go ahead.
You just try all kinds of things, and yes, it does work. And if you do not have an insulated roof in your trailer, by all means, do the ice.
But years ago, the trailer we had prior now, I put in little fans for the horses. Each one had a little fan on the butt side of them. And that helped quite a bit. Just kept the air moving in there. Besides what the vents but we didn't have that trailer didn't have drop down butt doors or anything.
And it wasn't insulated on the roof.
It wasn't insulated on the roof. But fans helped a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you put in the trailer? Do you wrap legs? Do you use bell boots? Anything like that?
It depends how far we're going. But normally we don't wrap legs.
We had an old timer tell us once, whether this be true or not. He did not wrap legs because he said that you can bow tendons on the horse wrapping them the bad way. But we do wrap now and then, and we have had shipping boots that we've used that protects them. Definitely, if you're hit, if you would get in an accident, you want to. It would help to have them wrapped on their legs because it's so easy for them to tear themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So it's just, if we're only hauling a couple hours somewhere, no, we don't wrap them. But if we were hauling a long haul, yes, we would.
Okay.
But we know some people they always do. They always have wrap them. It's preference. Mm-hmm. Whatever makes you feel comfortable
and helps the horse.
And helps the horse.
Yeah. It's good. Some good perspective. So for somebody that's new to fitting a halter horse, what advice would you give them?
Don't overfeed them.
Okay.
Don't feed them too hot of a feed. It depends if the horse is NN or NH.
Okay.
Sometimes NH horses, you kind of watch your diet on the NH horses.
What's your diet on if they're PSSM?
Your PSM too. There's another.
But make sure you have them on the correct supplements for those issues if they're not 5-panel or 6-panel and in. And most of the Halter horses typically are not. But we kind of feed towards that. And that's where the key to knowing what supplements to use on those horses. Do your homework, do your research on that. Don't push them. Know what the buttons are on them that makes them, excited or overdone or whatever. Our advice to people mainly is if you're going into the halter business, go and watch shows and watch people and inquire about, whether you should get into a breeding program or whether you should just buy your horse and show it and have fun. Breeding is a lot of work. We got into the breeding of it, and we wouldn't probably change any of that for the world because we've had a lot of rewards raising our own. But it's not for everybody. It's a 7-day-a-week operation. It's day in, day out. We don't go a lot of places. We don't do a lot of vacations. Our vacation is a horse trailer on the back of the truck most of the time. So you have to be willing to be totally committed to that. Otherwise, buy you a foal, go show it, or buy you a 2 or 3-year-old and go show it and enjoy life. Stay in your own lane. And I think I've mentioned that 2 or 3 times in the interview. You cannot compete with people who have way more money than you to run a trailer race up and down the road. You have to do what is affordable for you, and mainly do what's affordable, that you're not miserable when you leave that show and think, how am I going to pay for what I just did? Have you a budget, figure out what you can do, where you can go, what shows you can go to that's affordable for you. It may not be 6 judges every other weekend that you can go to. We can't. We pick our shows. We go to the world shows, being the Palomino World Show, the Buckskin World. We go to a couple of local quarter horse shows, and we try to help our local association, Palomino. We also have a goal this year. We're going to go to Fort Worth. We plan on going to the big money down there and showing the WCHA. And we both turned 68 this year. So we are, it's our bucket list, we know. And so we're doing things that we've not done before, just to experience it. And we know people from all over the United States. So we will be seeing a lot of those people that we normally don't get to see otherwise. It'll be fun.
But, on a whole different perspective, if you just start out in the halter business, you may not want to go to the breed shows. There's a lot of open shows that have halter classes that pay money back. To me, that's a good place for someone to start. And, there's like in our area, there's quite a few open shows you can go to that has halter classes in it. And that's a good place to me to start, kind of get your feet wet, and you might win a little money.
It's a great idea.
That's another good avenue people can go to. Then if they want to go to Palomino, Buckskin, or quarter horse, or paint, they can do that. But that's a good place to start, get your feet wet as an open show.
Yeah. One of the fillies we just won the Palomino World Show. She will have paint, quarter, and Palomino papers, and so we can show her at all 3. And Paint Association has allowed, now they will be allowing the breeding stock to show with the regular stock. And that'll be fun, be interesting to see. It's a new opportunity for people. You know, they may not have one that's a real Aldo Barrow or whatever to go show, but they had a breeding stock one, and they won't have to trade in their horse for something different. They can go show, and that'll be fun. And the color breeds are starting to add Palomino bred, buckskin bred. We saw huge classes in those, and it's very rewarding to see some of the horses we've raised. One of the people we sold to in Wisconsin showed her filly in the Palomino bred, and we got to see her do some winning. So we were really thrilled with seeing people there that knowing we had raised that horse, and it was fun.
That's great. What are the names of the horses that we should be looking for this year that you'll be showing?
Peachless is the Palomino paint and quarter filly, and she's by FG Speechless. And she's 6 paneling in. The colt is the buckskin colt. His name is Intuitions, and we call him Koozie. And I forgot to tell you, Peachless's barn name is Georgia. So those are the two that kind of campaigning this year. We were blessed with 2 foals this year. We had one come up, she lost hers, and so we try to just campaign next year. We're hoping for 4 foals. We're expecting so, but we like to represent the stallions that we breed to as well, if they're here on our farm or if we breed out. And it's just fun to make a winning program out of it.
Yeah, it's good.
And our next show will be in September in the Michigan Fraternity.
The Michigan Stallion Auction Fraternity.
The buckskin colt's going to go there. He's Alpha Flat. He's going to go there and show.
Yeah.
Okay.
His name's Intuitions.
Okay.
And so he will represent us, our farm, and then Terry Bradshaw Quarter Horses owns his dad, El Futuro.
Okay.
And this is our first foal out of him.
That was his first world champion.
Yeah, that's his first world champion at the buckskin world we got with him. So
that's awesome.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Are there resources or educational opportunities that you recommend for somebody who's new to showing halter?
Well, if you can't afford to buy, some people will lease their horse. They'll lease them. Lease a halter horse or somebody. And that's another avenue someone could take. Get their feet wet and see if that's what you really want to do. That's another avenue someone could take.
In Palomino, they do allow a youth to show someone else's horse. So if you had children that you wanted to get started showing halter horses, you could seek out somebody that's already entered or showing the Palomino horses and ask if your child could possibly show their horse at the Palomino World Show, because they do allow that. That's one positive thing that Palomino's been able to do, and we've seen it work very successfully for a lot of kids that don't have that horse. So we have a great barn. The family that's in the barn, we call it the DJ Bean barn, but it's 25D. And we get that every year at the Palomino World Show. And we all chip in and have evening meals. We don't go out to eat. We just cook. And it's a lot of fun. We just thoroughly enjoy going and spending our week there. And they just become family. Everybody in the barn. So
that's awesome.
Everybody helps each other.
Yeah.
Yep. That's good. Makes for a good trip to the show.
Yes. Yes.
What are some of the challenges with being a DIYer? It's kind of a big question, but what are some of the challenges that you experience doing things on your own?
Having a good enough horse.
Good enough horse.
How can we make it better? What can we do to win?
But we've always said, well, if we were really rich, we would be dangerous.
Because we
we're both very.
We like to win. We won't deny it. We're very competitive. And so we look for ways to better our program always.
Yeah. Over the years, we might sell 2 horses to buy a good one. And that's how we progressed over 30 years. We keep trying to improve things. We'll give up money. We buy horses on time. We sell horses on time.
Yes.
A lot of breeders will work with you. It makes it affordable for everybody can get in to a program. But that's how we've done a lot of it. We bought a lot of it on time. And it's worked out great for us. But you got to be flexible in the horse business. That's what we figured out. There's something there for everybody. If you want to lease one, or maybe a breeder would just borrow it. They want to show, they'll just let you go show it. There's lots of just ask. You never know. You don't know till you ask.
Yeah, it's good. So, last question. Are there any trends in the industry that are exciting or encouraging to you?
Any trends?
Any trends or changes, perhaps, that are encouraging to you?
No, I'm excited about what the Paint Horse Association has done
there,
as far as being able to show breeding stock with the regular stock. Some of your old time paint breeders would tell you they're not excited. But people who have bred and can't get that spot on that horse, that's exciting for them to be able to do that and go show. We love Palomino. They are constantly looking for ways to help. This year, I think, was the first year. Maybe they've done it 2 years in a row. We're trying to get them to offer individual classes for the Palomino breds, so that they're not having to show against like 2 and under. For instance, we showed at the Buckskin World. So we got beat by a yearling, and we were reserve. There's no shame in that. Everybody knows, that you got beat by an older horse, but it would just make things maybe draw more people in if they can separate those classes more. The other flip side of that is they have to have sponsors for every class that they provide. So that all takes money as well. Everything sometimes is based around that.
And the numbers are down. Like Palomino World is down this year. Both Buckskin World shows, we talked to a judge that was the judge's Buckskin said both of the numbers are down this year. So they're going to have to do something to draw people back in. But it gets expensive. But
you've got to be able to focus on your own lane. Just do what you can afford. Don't go out there and think, well, save up, maybe start this year, just as soon as you got done with your Palomino show or your buckskin show or your paint show or your quarter show, and save up for next year's shows. Start saving. Everything helps. And plan ahead so that you can hit the shows that you most enjoy, or will make the most impact for your horse and you, or you can win, whatever is important to you. I quarter horse, they're always looking for new things. Their world show has gotten pretty expensive. And I would like to see them do something there. I don't know what the answer is.
Sure.
But, it's expensive. Campgrounds, places where the shows actually lease the grounds. Many places, check out that. That's a thing you need to check out. We camped at Springfield, Illinois, and I think it was $25 a night. I think we go to Michigan Quarter Horse Association, and it's a flat fee of $160, but you don't have a choice. It's not a day fee. And so if you pull in there the night before you show, that's pretty expensive. You could just about do a motel. I think that maybe the associations don't have maybe they don't have control over those things. I don't know, but it is something definitely that the exhibitor needs to plan. It's not necessarily bad for one show or the other. It's what the exhibitor needs to look at is, what are my expenses, going down the road? What's it going to cost me to camp or sleep in my trailer or do this or do that? Have a plan. It's a budget. Do a budget just like you do for home. And look at those things. So that's how we've survived. It's a mode of survival.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
But in the last 30 years, we showed quarter horse quite a bit. Well, that's back when we had single and double judge shows, and all that's changed. Was it a good thing, bad thing? I don't know, but we call them the good old days 20 years ago when we were showing quarter horse and things. And it's evolved. It's changed.
There were two judges.
There were two judges,
and people. It was affordable more for people, and
back when they had the incentive fund.
Yeah,
that helped a lot.
We don't have any of that now. So when you do pull into a quarter show and you're paying for 6 judges, 6 times the money, and a lot of people that show that all the time, that's their goal because they can go to less shows and qualify. But for somebody who is qualifying on working off the seat of their pants on a budget, it's not friendly. It's not user friendly like a computer. It's not that way. Some of those things, I don't know, I'd like to see a happy medium in there or something, or just maybe them offer some more shows that were just 2 judges or whatever. That way people could go and afford to show and get qualified for the world show if that's what their goal is. That's, we're all in this because we love horses.
Right.
That's the whole reason.
It's true.
Yeah.
But I know it's forced a lot of people that we used to show with kind of out of it because it's just gotten so expensive. They may go to an open show now versus a quarter horse show just for the payback. And there's some open shows that have some pretty good paybacks in Halter.
But we we don't have any ill feelings towards one show that costs more than the other.
No, it's great for somebody that has an all around. That's great for them. But for a halter person, it's nice to go there, one day show and you're done.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just
it all boils down to what fits your budget, what you're capable of doing, what you can do. The thing we like about halter horses, I should add, is that we bale our own hay. So we could go to a local halter show, maybe an hour and a half away from the farm. We'd be home and be raking hay and baling by the afternoon.
That's great.
And most people don't look at that, but that's important to us.
Yeah, 20 years ago, there was a whole group of us here in Indiana. We went to all the quarter horse shows. We'd all show against each other, and we were done. We were done by noon. We'd go eat lunch together.
Yeah.
And we call them the good old days.
Yeah, yes. It was fun.
But there's none of us that.
There's not very many left.
Yeah.
But and the youth is your foundation for the associations coming up. So people need to get their youth involved to support the organizations and to bring people up in the familiar goings on of all the associations, and they are the foundation for your association 20 years down the road. They're going to be your leaders.
Amen.
So.
But the world we live in now, our youth, there's so many different things that they're involved in, sports, and just so much they can do. And that's just like we have 10 grandkids. Well, out of the 10 grandkids, only one of them love horses. We're fortunate for that.
Yeah.
He's our cowboy.
Yeah.
But all of our grandkids could have whatever horse they want here, but just don't interest them. They have other interests, and that's fine. We still love them.
They excel in everything else.
Yeah, they excel in everything else, music and things. But not every kid. You got to. Well, you love horses, so our grandson loves horses. He feels the way we do. It's not for every kid.
Sure.
There's so many different things to do today.
We have a couple granddaughters that can play guitar, piano, anything they pick up, ukulele. They perform a lot at the church, and they perform in town. They also do festivals and things, and are quite talented. We're very proud of them as well. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do horses, but they've just made our life complete.
Yeah.
Especially when we were dating and racing horses down the road at 15 years old. And I'll tell you that I had a quarter horse.
Good
and
job.
He had a
Saddlebred Arabian.
Yeah, saddlebred Arabian, and I beat him.
So that's how I fell in love with quarter
Congratulations.
horses.
And you've been chasing her ever since, haven't you?
I've been chasing her ever since.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing. Gosh, we've gotten a glimpse at your family, at the business that you've created of horses, the highs and the lows. Thank you for sharing all of that and everything in between. I think people are going to appreciate just some little nuggets that you've given us. Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Now we can talk about our kids. I haven't mentioned this to you, but there's three things that happen in all three of my kids' lives that they're most memorable to me, and all had to do with horses. That sounds crazy, but there's three different things that happened. Like my oldest daughter, she dislocated her kneecap, was in a cast 2 weeks for the county fair. Well, you're not going to be able to compete and stuff. Well, she went out there that day and won what? Eight trophies. 8 trophies that day.
Yes.
Won it.
Wow.
That made us the proudest.
Including barrels and poles.
It was just moments that I'm just so proud of her. I still am today. It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
And then my other daughter, Christy, we went to the state fair, and she won 3 events in too. But she won the 2-year-old pleasure, and halter, and got third in showmanship.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And that was a special day. Then several years after that, our Sunleys last year took their yearling filly down there, and he just showed like a pro all day. I was so proud. I still am today. So proud of how he showed that horse. And that yearling won the grand champion mare at Indiana State
There was
Fair.
probably, I think we counted 250 head
250 head of mares.
of mares there that day, and we won
Wow.
grand champion at the Indiana State Fair.
But the horses have been involved our whole life. But you know, with our kids, there were 3 special moments that I remember. You know, the day I died, that just makes me smile every time I think about it.
And April is the one that won 8 trophies in one day on the mare we called Star. That was our first buy-in after we got married back into horses. So yeah, she was barrels of poles.
Well, I tell her, did she have a baby? We bought her, she was bred, they didn't know it.
Yeah.
So first horse we bought after we got married, bought this appendix bed, this horse, this mare, and she somehow steady got in with her. She got bred. We didn't know it. Before we bought her, she had a baby for her to become.
Yeah. We named her Jet Star Surprise.
So that's how we got started in the breeding business.
Oh, we didn't plan on getting in breeding business, but that was our first foal. And you know, we purchased a mare and had no idea she was bred. So that, and then one time we took the kids to Florida and called back home, and it was on April Fool's Day. Our neighbor was feeding our horses, and she happened to work for Bud Alderson at that time. And Bud was always kidding me. And because we would talk horses, and then his wife had corgis, which is what I raised too. And Bud would always kid me about your corgi buddy or your dog buddy's calling. Well, that day happened to be on April Fool's Day. He said, I asked him if Kim had said if there was anything going on at the farm, and he said, well, yeah, there is. And I said, well, what is it? He said, well, your pony. We'd bought the grandkids a pony, and he said the pony had a donkey. And I said, no way, you're messing with me. This is April Fools. It was true.
It was true.
Wow.
We bought this pony, she was bred and didn't know it, and had that little donkey, big old long ears.
Yeah, not a Halter horse for sure.
Oh, so good. Well, thank you
Always
again. That is right. Yes, it's never dull when you have horses. Never dull. Well, thank you for sharing all the stories. We appreciate it, and
you're welcome.
Look forward to sharing this with our audience. Thank you. Hey, if you're an amateur or a professional willing to share your story or bring content that helps us with our halter horses, you can email me at fitforhalter@gmail.com.